Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Saki Vrindavan. The divine couple, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, this is Narottam Das Thakur, who wrote this maybe like 450 years ago. And in Krishna Lila, Gaura Lila, he's a sannyasi, but in Krishna's pastimes, he's like a 12-year-old girl. So, the divine couple, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, are my life and soul. In life or death, I have no other refuge but them.
In a forest of small cucumber trees on the bank of the Yamuna, I will seat the divine couple on a throne made of brilliant jewels.
Or on a flower, on a swing decorated by beautiful flowers.
I will anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste, and I will fan them with a china whisk. Oh, when will I behold their moon-like faces?
Number 4.
After stringing together garlands of monthly flowers, I will place them around their necks, and I will offer tambulas scented with camphor to their lotus mouths.
With the permission of all the Sakis, girlfriends, headed by Lalita and Vishaka, I will serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna.
Narottam Das, the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, longs for his service to the divine couple.
Hi, Shri Radha Banki Bihari, Julanya. So now we can go, we can adjourn with Radha and Krishna in our hearts to the Harinam Park. Okay, there's supposed to be an interesting presentation about how to achieve Radha and Krishna. Oh, okay, my God. Thank you, Mr. Wizard. Okay. So, hello. So somebody in our electronic audience, can you hear us? Lakshman, no, he's not here. Mitravinda Devi Dasi, can you hear us?
Our audience today, yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, and we can hear you. Yeah. So how do I do this now? This is why Vishnu has 4 arms, because you can maintain everything here. Okay. Now, so I guess what we do here. Okay. Radha Krishna Pranama. So let's go ahead then and turn the microphone off. Can you hear us now? Yes, you can hear us now. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So now we're going to share our screen. Okay. What do you see? Do you see a monkey in the forest?
Yes.
Hanuman. Okay. Thank you. Okay. And I'm moving all my controls out of the way. Okay. Okay. So we were trying to continue. Let's see here. Hi to everyone. With our little series of seminars on the whole Vedic tradition, Vedic culture, Vedic perspective. Okay. Yeah. And last week we did the very, very nice book, Light of the Bhagavad-Gita. Right? And we started off explaining a little bit of the whole, Vedic heritage of literature like that, and how it's very vast, and how, there was colonial imperialism, the age of expansion, whatever. If you're looking at it from Western perspectives on world history, right? There'll be European history, American history. Then there'll be like one chapter on Asian history. Everything that ever happened in China, Cambodia, Japan, India, Burma. Okay, it's one chapter. It shows a little bit of ethnocentricity. But I think it's changing. I think it's expanding. Now they've gone up to 3 chapters out of 55 or something. Yeah. So, but it's a very, very vast resource for humanity. That's what we're trying to concern with here, is that we need some help. You start looking at the statistics and everything else, and humanity is not in a good shape right now. I think 40% of the people in the world are below the level of what people consider, basic, economy for shelter, food, I think that kind of stuff. So we need some adjustments. We need to understand how to live with the earth, how to live with each other. And so we're seeing very, very tremendous resources from different cultures all over the world. Australian Aborigine culture, pre-Hispanic culture in Mexico. And of course, what we're presenting is this very, very nice, very profound Oriental, Asian, Indian perspective. And last week we looked at this book, Light of the Bhagavad, which is one chapter all about nature, right? That's lessons from nature of the Bhagavad Purana. And we're pointing out the Bhagavad Purana has something like, maybe 300 chapters. And it's considered to be 5,000 years old. Well, Western historians, basically, cultural things like that, beyond 2,000 years, it starts to be very iffy, what's happening. We can discuss all that in terms of carbon dating and everything else, but our perspective is no, there were previous civilizations who produced the pyramids in Giza, which are, mind-boggling. Look at those and left many very wonderful remnants. Okay. So that also, that's an important point, that our perspective, the world, our heart's going through cycles, our stomachs are going through cycles, the days are going through cycles, the years are going through cycles. The location of the North Pole is going through cycles as the earth kind of turns like that. Well, so the Vedic suggestion is the whole universe is going through cycles. Age of gold, age of silver, age of bronze, age of iron, and within that, the age of plastic. Yeah. And so this is like the winter, in New York. Snow, ice, no fruits, no flowers, no squirrels, no boys and girls in sun suits. It's terrible, terrible. The age of iron, everything's small, shrunken, miserable. But in the previous age, in the fall, there were still some fruits, still some flowers, and people lived to be 1,000 years old. Things were more accommodating, bigger. Okay, yeah. And so back to the age of gold, then it was 100,000 years, and so many things. So these are things where physical reality. We're also discussing this. We're also presenting this perspective on challenging people. Yeah, we're saying that we have a better medicine, a better cosmology. Maybe not better, but in many ways. And we work with Nobel laureates. You mentioned Charles Towns. He got the Nobel Prize for the laser, and he was saying, he joined our conferences and participation, and saying that science it explains so many things. He said by using the scientific process up to the time of Sir Isaac Newton and Lavoisier and all these different people, they started discovering so many things. The laws of optics, the laws of gravity, the laws of mechanics. And he said it was starting to become so many things they didn't know how to put it together. But he said then people like Newton and everybody else put it together in one general broad theory about what is matter. Then it started getting more and more, complicated when we started getting the ability to look into, the atomic levels and molecular levels. And then Einstein, de Broglie, and Schrodinger, they put it together with certain, general views of what is matter, how it works, and then they demonstrated it with lasers and atomic bombs and, and these kind of things, birth control pills. Okay. So he said now it's happening again because we're discovering so much more. And he said, well, something comes along, some fact, and it's a scientific anomaly. Well, it can't quite fit in, so we'll put it over here, and later on we'll figure it out. And he said another scientific anomaly comes along, okay, and we'll put it over here. And he said now what's happening is the pile of scientific anomalies is becoming so big, it's just about ready to fall over and just, crush our quantum mechanics and classical mechanics. And he said, yeah, we need to look at broader views of reality, which don't negate these things, but they're just broader views. Quantum mechanics doesn't negate, classical mechanics, right? But it gives a broader view. Okay. So that's a little bit light of the Bhagavad, and there's more concern with lessons about social relationships and things like that. Because, okay, we need houses, we need food, and we can arrive at those pretty easily in many ways. But beyond that, it starts to be social relations and satisfying our very deep motivations, right? Because many, many times, bears, how many, y'all know bears, right? ever see, how many people have actually seen a bear alive? Okay, yeah, okay, see it. They exist. Anybody here ever chased by a bear? Okay, yeah, you got away, huh? Obviously, yeah. If you're being chased by a bear, they can climb trees faster than you. They can run faster than you, but they can't run downhill because what happens is the rear end starts to get in front of the front end, and they fall and tumble. So if you have a chance to run downhill, you can. This is worth this entire conference coming here. Is now you learn how to escape from bears. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So social relations. So the bears are in the zoos, okay, to get medication and everything else, but it's pretty boring. Bored sitting there every day, So they figured out what they need to do is the bear goes into his little cave at night, they close it up, and they come out and they put food up in the artificial tree, they put it under the artificial log, and they put it all over the place. And so now the bear has to come around, he has to try and look all day for the food, he has to figure out a way to get it out of the artificial tree, And then the bear thinks, okay, yeah, it's a reasonable life. I spend all day looking for food and I can take a rest, And once a year I have a little romance, once a year. Okay, I'm satisfied. I'm a bear. And every now and again I get to scratch my back. Okay, yeah. But a human being, right, we're so unreasonable, that we want architecture, beauty, poetry, and something very fine, music, something higher. What happens when you die? Yeah. And so this is then what the light of the Bhagavad is dealing with. And one verse there we pointed out says, if you want to learn more, then you should go on to read the literature given by the 6 Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya. And so what we're having now is Upadeshamrita. And you all got a copy, right? You all got a copy there? The book? Okay, yeah. This is it here. Okay. What you got here is a 500-year-old book. Not this particular copy, but the original text. Okay. And it's only composed of 10 texts. I think I have a PowerPoint show here. Okay. We're trying to handle so many things at the same time here. So I go over here to my archives, my file explorer. Okay. Then I go to documents. Okay. Then I go to American Bhagavad Curriculum. And I think then I want to go to secondary. Let's see if that does it. Nectar of Instruction, that might do it. Okay, I think this will do it here. It's called NOI Promo. Okay. Oh, here it is. Hey, it worked. It worked for once. Okay. So what do you see? What does it say? 3 minutes with a genius. Okay. And I'm not sure what's in the PowerPoint show, so maybe put ahead here. Oh my God. Okay. So I got to go back and I got to go to the slideshow. Okay. Okay. There's a slideshow. Okay. Then I go set up slideshow and I turn off. I use manual timings. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay. Okay. So we've been making this presentation many times, and it's very nice. You know, you kind of learn something each more. You know, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami has so many books. He translated them. Bhagavatam is 32 volumes. Chaitanya Charitamrita is 17 volumes. You know, such a vast literature. But this is first instruction. It's very nice. You know, so. We did actually, we were stopping over in Oxford just for like 1 day, 2 days on the way to India, and we stayed there. And so they organized a program and they put this poster up, you know, every place, and it showed this kind of very mysterious picture of Rupa Goswami here with a monkey in the tree. I identify with the monkey. Okay. Peacock, and then Radharani coming to give him lunch. He's working so hard. Okay. And so then it said, Rupa Goswami, I think it's what it's here. Okay, we'll go ahead here. I think it explains why it says this. Okay. There we go. There it goes. Okay. Srila Rupa Goswami and his followers dominated the world of 16th century Indian metaphysics. Other people may disagree with that, but we can fight with them. And justifiably, our tradition through Jiva Goswami and others is just, you know, powerful metaphysical tradition. Okay, so they dominated. Rupa Goswami, who wrote the book, and his followers, dominated the world of 16th century Indian metaphysics. And especially we call the six Goswamis. Here we have maybe Rupa Goswami, his older brother Sanatan, their nephew Jiva Goswami, and others who all came from very, very high-class Brahmin families. And they're always discussing this esoteric philosophical life. And of course, this is tropical atmosphere, so you can sleep under a tree, you can pick bananas, you know. It's a very, very nice place for human beings. Actually, we've heard that human life cannot really be carried on where palm trees don't grow, because palm trees produce, you know, dates and coconuts. And that's a symbol. Human beings, you can live there very simply like that. You can pick your lunch off of a tree. Okay. He was a member of the highly elevated, the Sarasvat Brahmin community. Along with his brothers, he became Prime Minister of Bengal under the government of the Muslim conqueror Nawab Hussain Shah. You know, they didn't want to do this. He and his brother Sanatan Goswami, they're very high-class Brahmins. It's like, you know, big university professors, the dean of humanities at Harvard University or something, you know, medical sciences. And the Muslims were coming in, drinking, killing cows, eating meat, but they conquered materially to some degree. And so Nawab Hussain Shah figured out, okay, these guys should manage my government. Very intelligent people, and I can go off, you know, womanizing and conquering other people, and while they're managing my government. So he told them, you should become managers for my government, home secretary, external secretary. And they said, so we don't want to do that. You know, people will reject us for associating with you. He said, all right, you can reject it, but I'll kill one Brahmin every day until you accept. So they accepted. Okay, this is, yeah, okay. So they became a Nawab. Nawab means, I think, kind of like Baron, or no, like Duke or something. Okay, and there we have. There is no place in the world now as rich as Bengal was at that time. And here's the map of India. You see Bengal is down there where Calcutta is. And up in the center is going to be Delhi and Agra. Okay, like that. And what else? You got Bombay over here. Okay. You can see very kind of a lot of good rainy atmosphere. It's a nice place. Yeah. Okay. Silk, gold, jewels, spices, medical and political sciences, architecture. Yes, all these very advanced, very advanced. Yes. Here we go. Food, spices, gold, carpets, handlooms, beautiful stallions. You like my PowerPoint show? Yeah. So we can imagine a hard day's work at the at the embassy, at the office there. Then on Saturday nights, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami in their beautiful bungalow with gardens and servants and everything else, organizing a very nice cultural evening. And there's beautiful bands there playing precise, very beautiful music, and people are bringing new poetic productions and dramas there. And ladies and gentlemen are showing up in silk dhotis and fine silk saris. A fine silk sari is one you can pass through a ring. It's so finely made by hand, like that. That's real. Okay, yeah. And beautiful, beautiful horses, matched horses pulling ivory carriages and clapping along the road. There's a go like that. Description is there. And they were the Mandalapati. They were the leaders of all this society. So beautiful, so elevated. And medical science, Ayurveda. I mean, I had problems my whole life until I came in contact with the Indian system, and I understood systemically what was going on. Within 1 year, reduced it 90%. My elements and so on. So Ayurveda is medicine. Vastu Veda is architecture. How many people have heard of Feng Shui? Feng Shui? Feng Shui? Okay, yeah. So it's the same system. Basically, China and India are so close like that. The influence of where the sun rises, how it sets, where different rooms are in the house, and you have an effect, very, very powerful effect on how your consciousness is. One kind of, Vastu Veda architecture is designed for enjoying material life. This is the kind you'd use for building casinos in Las Vegas, where it increments your desire for gratification. The other kind is for enhancing your desires to become calm and peaceful and introspective like that. Maya Danava and the other guy, Vishwakarma, Samhitas. And they say historically that there must have been 5 of these, but now only 2 have survived. And again, this is the same thing. We've gone 2,000 years. They say it looks like there was Pancha Siddhantika, 5 different systems of Vastu, of architecture, of humans cultivating the human spirit, but only 2 remain like that, And one is Maya Danava, which is for, enhancing material enjoyment. And the other one is Maya Vishwakarma, which is for, tranquility and renunciation. It's a whole separate area. It's very practical. Okay, Ayurveda, medicine, Vastu Veda, architecture, Gandharva Veda. The Gandharvas are, in our culture, fairies, like fairies, like that. Yeah. And it's the same thing. The Gandharvas live on their loka, their planet is 50 miles above the earth. Okay, and that's Gandharvas, yeah. And they're very expert at music, dance, drama, and of course they have more subtle potencies and powers than we do. So fairies, described in the life of King Arthur, Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay was the queen of the fairies, and they lived on a floating island called Avalon. Off the coast of Los Angeles is Avalon Island, like that. Santa Catalina, in the capital of the city is Avalon. And it's the same descriptions of them, the same people. They exist. Yeah. So the fairies were there, and they're very expert in music, And if you have good music, then you want to dance, okay? And then after that is drama, where you put it together with these, where was it going? Oklahoma and what's the South Pacific? All these Rodgers and Hammerstein, with Jesus Christ Superstar. You got, it's very natural. Then you got a happy life. You got good musicals and stuff. So, and what we're doing specifically, our Hare Krishna yoga, is not. All these are yogas. You can achieve perspective by architecture, achieve perfection by music, the political science, medicine. But we're doing it as this Gandharva Veda. Our whole process is singing, then dancing, and then drama. Lord Chaitanya was always expressing these things. And it touches your heart very deeply. So this is Bengal, 500 years ago. Come with me, my time machine. Spices, gold, jewels, ornaments, medical sciences. They didn't have some of the things we have now. They couldn't do, open heart surgery. But who needs it? Almost all of our traumatic medicine is produced because we're creating a situation where people are unnaturally stressed and everything else. So they were the parts of all this. They were the masters of all these things, but they were not happy. So they left it all to become renunciates and followers of the great Bengali monk and saint Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So on our altar, it's like you go to some churches, there's Martin Luther. Go to other churches, there's Calvin. Go to other churches, there's what's his name? Joseph Smith. Coming down from God to Jesus to to whoever, Jewish church, you're going to have different people also. What was his name? Maimonides? Yeah, he wrote Guide for the Perplexed, right? Yeah, okay. He's a famous acharya in the Jewish tradition called Guide for the Perplexed. And I think he says in there, not only is God impersonal, he must be impersonal. Okay. So there are different traditions coming down like that. That's how we get it. Okay. So our tradition is very much part of the whole Vedic tradition. People will accept this. You're part of the whole general tradition. But specifically, it's coming from Sri Krishna Chaitanya 500 years ago, whose life is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is full of supernatural mystery and everything else, powers. So he's promulgating. What do you say here? Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was preaching ecstatic congregational chanting of the holy names of God, kind of like St. Francis, as the most excellent method of self-realization in this current age of Kali. He not only preached this process with philosophical logic, but also demonstrated it as he traveled all over India, chanting and dancing in emotional love of God. Hare Krishna, Hallelujah, Allahu Akbar, Rudi Kwamanga. That's Swahili. Okay. He then empowered Rupa Goswami to explain this culture on the basis of Vedic scriptures. And this is how they were writing. You didn't have to have, cut down 1,000 trees and hammersmith and make all this kind of stuff. You just take banana leaves like that, and you take a piece of wood and you mark like what you want to write. And when it dries out, where you marked out comes out a darker color. Other thing, and these last for a long time. In Vrindavan, the temple there next to it is the Vrindavan Institute, and they have many, many palm leaf manuscripts there. And they actually have things which are from Rupa Goswami 500 years ago, still there. And it says that his handwriting was like a row of pearls. Optical character reader, they can be trained to read this because it's so consistent, it's so uniform like that and stuff. So again, there's no lack of culture. If you're so stupid you need to read something to memorize, you haven't got a memory. One time, one of our sannyasis in the very beginning was traveling around India. And he went to a big, Gurukula, where the boys who go there and study, high-class boys. There'd be like 400 boys in different ages. And the afternoon when it was hot, they would sit under these like straw, umbrella type things, and maybe groups of 4 and just chant their prayers and stuff like that, And so he asked one of the boys, maybe like 12 years old, so how many mantras and prayers do you know? He said, 27,000. Because if you're raised up properly and everything else, this is the kind of memory you'll have. You'll be able to remember. And there's techniques. You do that, and you have wonderful body, and you can memorize the entire Ramayana, the entire Mahabharata. Yeah, why not? Everybody knows it. How many languages do you speak? 7. Other people speak 20. Yeah, okay. So this is 500 years ago. You know, why didn't they have computers? Didn't need them. Yeah, yeah. You can. I mean, one guy memorized using this technique. Good memory, whatever. He memorized the entire Los Angeles phone book like that. It's funny, sequentially. I memorized, right? I told you before. I memorized 5 pages of last names in the Los Angeles phone book. Want to hear them? Smith, 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 Smith. Okay, it's a joke. Yeah, but yeah, you can develop it. It's like a muscle. You practice, you can develop it. So why do you need all this stupid stuff writing down? Socrates said the same thing. He said, writing will create a class of people who appear to know many things but know nothing. Right? You know, Prabhu, I have all of Rupa Goswami's works on my hard drive. Have you read any? Well, I haven't had time, Prabhu, but I appear to know many things but actually know nothing. Okay, so he empowered Rupa Goswami on the basis of the Vedic scriptures. Rupa Goswami wrote over 11,000 verses and 18 major works and presented a summary of everything in 11 verses. Is Sri Upadeshamrita, and that's the original Sanskrit name of the thing. Okay, the essence of all wisdom. Join us now as we spend 3 minutes with a genius, Upadeshamrita of Rupa Goswami, the nectar of instruction of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Okay, thank you. I have my own chorus here. You're really great. Thank you very much. Yeah. What are they paying you? Nothing. You're a fool. Okay. So this is a little promo thing. And idea is, if you like these things, the idea is learning to teach. Learning to teach. Why else do you want to learn? Two things turn to poison: unused knowledge and undigested food. Yeah, two things turn to poison: undigested food, unused knowledge. And what do? You become proud, and everything else like that, and so on. Yeah, yeah. So learning to be. So if we have these things are available, and you can buy these by the case. I forget how much they cost. Maybe $1, $1.20 or something. You buy them by the case. And then setting up programs. For example, if we're going to have a symposium at the university, you can put this on a little table and put it into kiosk mode. We'll just go through gradually, and people can see this. This is maybe 1 minute here, because there's 11 texts, and it takes 3 minutes, just 3 minutes to chant all 11 texts like that. And so if you open it up there, you can open it anywhere. I'm on. I'm going to pick a page here. Let's go to the first text. First text. And we have some page 1. Not too surprising. Okay. Okay. And there's the first part is Devanagari, and this is the basis for Bengali, Marwadi, Hindi. It's like we use Roman script, right? Roman script. So this script is common every place. Then the transliteration, and this is very standard. It's completely standardized. It's the EAST system, Bacho Begum, and then one word at a time, and finally the translation like that. So altogether, the whole thing will fit on, one piece of paper, but it's very concentrated. It's very concentrated. So then we have the the translations, and then commentaries, purports, explanations like that. And I think I have maybe another slideshow here. Let me see here about that. Okay, yeah. Then it says here lecture date, time, place, and free food. Yeah, because any poster you make up, it's one of our down to earth Hari Vilas, one of our down to earth earthy guys. He says any poster you make up should have these 2 words on it. Obvious: free and food. This conference is not free, and there is no food. Okay, everybody. Yeah. I think he's trying to attract people under 11 years old. Maybe. So any kind of questions or comments or anything? Yeah. Yes, sir. No? Okay, now we're going ahead. Professor Jerry, okay, Professor Jerry, yeah, is actually bringing us from this promo thing to, I think, our next slideshow actually talks about this. Okay, this is going to be Alt F-O. Okay, and it may bring us to this PC. Okay, I think this is a preface. I think this is the proper one here. Maybe that one. Yeah, this is it now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. 3 minutes with a genius. Humble illuminations of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's Nectar of Instruction, a summary study of the Upadeshamrita of Srila Rupa Goswami. Okay. Part 1. Preface and summary. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that we're looking. Oh, yeah.
A summary presentation, does that mean that the Upadesha reproduction must more than about Prabhupada?
Now, what does it say here? It says here, an authorized English presentation of Srila. Okay. He doesn't say that here. An authorized English presentation with original Sanskrit text, synonyms, and elaborate purports. Okay, so some Krishna book, you think you said it's a summary presentation like that. Yeah. And the Krishna book, of course, the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam is much bigger than the Krishna book. So you're right. Thank you. But stay on my toes here. Can't fool you guys. Okay. So this is looking at it systematically, because here the very first text is basically ethics and morality. Okay. Ethics and morality is the first text. And it goes all the way to the most esoteric aspects of the emotional love of God and the mood of Mother Mary and receiving Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay. All in 11 texts. It moves pretty fast. So if you can accomplish the first text, you become qualified to become guru of the entire world. Okay. So number 1 is like, you ready? We're going to move pretty fast in this class. But everybody's coming from previous lifetimes. I've seen this. Some people they kick right in, so on. Okay. So he starts off with, I guess we can do that. We'll come back to my PowerPoint show next week. Little introduction here. So turn back to page 1. There. Okay. And actually we can chant the Sanskrit. First I chant and you listen. Then you chant and I listen. Okay. Vacho Vegam Manasa Kroda Vegam Jiva Vegam Udaro Pasta Vegam Etan Vegan Yao Dishaheta Dira Sarvam Apimam Prativing Sasisha. So the Sanskrit word Vegam, like Las Vegas, it means pushes, right? Pushes. Okay, he says, a sober person, Dira, who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, they're both pushes, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. In the Bible, it says, if you have met a man who has controlled his tongue, you have met a perfected man. Yeah. So he's defining it out. Is this really, and this is also another Vedic text also. Yeah. So his identification is, he's giving us 6 pushes, which are actually forcing everybody in the world to act. Somebody can conquer 1,000 men in battle, but cannot conquer his own, desire to pushes. So he starts basically is going to explain that the biggest thing we're faced with is right under your nose, right? Your tongue. Okay. It's our number 1 enemy and friend like that. Stick it out. You can't see it's hiding, You see your tongue. Some people can touch your nose or your tongue. Okay. So tongue has 2 functions. What are they? Huh? Yeah, to taste and to talk. Okay, and both of these get us in trouble. So he starts off with the talking function. Okay, as when Buddhist phrase, it says, make sure mind is engaged before tongue is in motion. Yeah, many things about this. You know? When I was traveling on Southwest Airlines one time, I was looking at the fact sheet in a traveler's magazine there, and it said the average man produces 2,000 words a day. Okay, and it says the average woman produces 7,000. Okay. Now I would say my great knowledge of statistics, the problem was not in measuring how much the average woman talks, but in finding the average woman. Okay. Yeah, but it's a joke. But it makes this point that everybody, likes to talk. Probably gives the example. Even frogs like to talk. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. And all they do by talking like that is, inviting the snakes to come and eat them. This is his first point: is how we have to control this desire for talking. And of course, it manifests itself as so much in literature, media, communication. You see, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. This desire to talk, to communicate. There are a tremendous number of nerves in the mouth. If you look on the Wikipedia, the web for homunculus, homunculus, right? You'll find this really strange guy with a big tongue and lips, and picture big hands, big feet. This is the cerebral cortex. It's mapping out how the nerves, on your body are represented on the cerebral cortex. And you see there's a tremendous number of nerves for the mouth, the tongue, and the lips for human being. Okay, and also the fingers. If I touch you with a pin, you can distinguish very finely in the fingers. But up here, you can't distinguish so much. Yeah. So therefore, chanting on beads is a very, very natural meditation because it engages the fingers and it engages the vocal apparatus about mouth like that and so on. And when you do that, of course, it stimulates the whole body. If you got this stimulation going on here, then your whole body will respond. So music, singing, dancing, it follows like that naturally. So very, very big push. Okay. Now all these pushes, he's saying, okay, you can just try and renounce them. People put like locks in their mouth. I mean, in India, whatever, or else they take vows of silence, or they won't talk at a certain hour every day. Yeah, it's called mona. This process will maybe work for some time, but it's just in the end, it's just irrepressible because it's so natural. Get sick. Okay. So and then he's suggesting the alternative then is to use everything in Krishna's service. Very, very important verse, which will be mentioned here. Nirbande, Krishna Sambande, Ukta Vairagya Uchate. Renunciation does not mean to give up anything. Renunciation means how to understand that everything which in this world can be connected to God. It all comes from Him. He's a beautiful little cowherd boy. He likes to eat. He likes to play. So everything is coming from Him. Therefore, it has to be able to be connected to Him. So you start talking about, higher principles, higher ideals, and then your function of speech. And then women are 3.5 times better off than men because they can talk about beauty, art, poetry. Just naturally. So that's just a suggestion for all 6 pushes is going to be to engage them in divine service, in the service of Krishna specifically. He's talking about here. And St. Francis, I'm sure everybody's going to say the same thing. St. Francis, everybody else, Buddha, talk about self-realization. So is that kind of coming to the point? Yeah. 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 It's kind of that sense, we're squeezing this all into one phrase, Yeah. 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 So okay. I'm fasting, right? Okay. So we got tolerating the desire to speak. because then then after that, because you're talking about things, you'll start thinking about them. And there's so much mental gratification, everything else. The mind likes to become attached to things. Vacho Vegam, desire to talk, Manasa Vegam. And we see there's so many pushes of the mind to think about certain things, to have certain ideals, and be very gratifying to understand, Mein Kampf, and follow the Führer, develop a whole mental conception. And then, when that's frustrated, anger comes. Abhiroda Priti, the mind likes to go forward like that and think about things, and you block it, and then anger will naturally arise. And when it came out, I saw it was a fact. I was becoming angry because I couldn't do something or something. I said, okay, well, give it up. Don't do it. Anger went away. So anger, of course, is, if you're talking about things, you're thinking about them, and then anger comes. And anger is the most dangerous function of the mind. In this one moment, you can kill somebody. I mean, the next moment you realized, God, my whole life has just changed. I became so angry, I killed that person. And that's it. One moment, my life is just gone. And of course, you haven't got to kill somebody. You can just say something so harsh that it might take somebody 20 years to forgive you, hurt them so badly. So anger is the most dangerous function of the mind. He's recommending all these can be used in transcendental service. You can talk about Krishna. You can, join St. Francis and sing hymns in the church, and then you can think about his service, his activity, what to do. I want to build a temple, want to promote this, want to, whatever. So many all activities can be engaged. And then anger is under control. And he's saying also anger can also be used like a pacifist. One time we were doing a program in, where was that? In South America. And I was talking about this and, violence and stuff like that. And one lady was very forceful. She was the committee as a leader, violence, and you should never be allowed, this and that. And it turned out that during one of these big purges in Argentina, her son, who was a doctor, had been killed like that. And so she was totally against any kind of violence in the government. And somebody whispered to me, her other son's a surgeon. So, and I pointed out, this is violence. Guys put masks on, they take knives, they take your money, and they cut you up, and you're paying them, please, cut me. Because they know what they're doing. But it has to be applied properly. So yes, violence and anger are the most dangerous functions of the mind. But sometimes they are necessary. When good argument fails, to protect the weak from the strong. You may come up and just shake somebody and stop him from harassing some poor dog. They won't do it. Okay, but that's what, if you're trained as a police officer, you're trained. Everything else nowadays, to apply violence, because it's the whole thing. If you don't do it, all this stuff happens. And so they're learning, how to apply it in such a way they won't get feedback from the community. Because if you apply it improperly, there's a bad taste afterwards for everybody. I gave a whole lecture one time. One of our devotees, his father was head of the Secret Service in Peru. And so it's, we went there to do a lecture, maybe 4 of us. It was the character of an ideal policeman. Remember that, And so it was kind of a little higher class, upper middle class area, upper class area in Lima. And we stopped there, and there was one big house with a big fence in front of it, a big wall. And there were 2 guys in suits and ties with machine guns standing in front of the door, so we knew it was the right place. We kind of walked up there, and the boss's son is there. They knew him. They kind of nodded, and so we went inside. Maybe 4 of us, and there's his father, talking to the secretary, finishing some stuff, and then he breaks his song like that, Latin thing. So okay, all your friends, okay, and your bishop, bishop. Okay. Well, go on in. Everybody's waiting. I'll come in a couple of minutes. So you walked in. There may be like 40 police officers there, all sitting at their desks with their hands. This is a teacher's dream. All the guys were sitting at their desks with their hands folded, and about maybe 20 ladies all sitting with their hands folded, and they all had their hair in buns. They had identical purses, and they, police women, and they were sitting there, So we came in and kind of sat down, and then after about maybe a couple of minutes, he came in. Everybody just came to attention. Ladies, gentlemen. Okay, so got a captive audience here. So I gave this whole thing about, we're talking about, the different castes. There's Brahmins, intellectual, Kshatriyas. This is natural. You'll find this in any society. Comrade president, comrade general, okay, comrade merchant. Yeah. And yeah, I think you're. So I was talking about, how this is what you're doing. If you are a police officer, you're trained to use force in such a way to subdue somebody physically without hurting them or anybody else. And you're also trained when to make the decision. I mean, you're drawing your weapon and using it. So through the whole thing, and afterwards for questions. And one of the guys said, if you have to kill somebody, there's no other way in the line of duty. Is there a bad reaction for it? Is there karma? Yeah, is there bad karma for it? You're forced to do it, you have to do it, And I guess I made this point. It said that violence is never good, but it's sometimes necessary to defend the weak against the strong when good arguments fail. So yeah, you have to do it, but you won't feel good about it. And I noticed that he nodded his head, and maybe 3 more people in the audience nodded their head. Maybe, yeah, you go home, you talk to police officers who's going to kill somebody. It's just, he had to do it. But, you go home and it's just, the other police officers realize it's something you never want to have to do because you had to do it. But boy, somebody's dead now. Yeah, very serious thing. So that's why police officers are allowed to drink a little sake in our culture. They had a tough day at work and they had to chop some heads off. Okay. Okay, it's good. So that's practical life. And then he's in the beginning, he's saying tolerating, but in the purport you'll see he says, no, this will prove to be a failure. So, okay, next text actually says enthusiasm is more important than tolerance. They're both important. Patience, but the most important thing is to be enthusiastic in how you're using violence and everything else properly. Then automatically, you'll be patient about it and stuff because it'll fit in properly. Yeah. So it's sophisticated. So any other questions or comments? Or maybe that's kind of enough for one night. We got here going at 8 o'clock. So I should go on here. Should cover the preface tonight? Okay, yeah, please. Yeah.
You have lots of books that do lots of writing, but they don't really know what they're talking about or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
They're not very intelligent.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering about that because, surely they wrote the Vedic because in this case, we don't have these words. We need them.
Oh, no. Socrates said writing, because they would the Greeks, they would make dramas, right? And then they would present them. And everybody would memorize it, word by word, pretty much, different people. And afterwards, they would have discussions and debates and all this kind of stuff. So writing was becoming more and more popular at that time, with Socrates. And they said, well, what do you think about writing, Socrates? He said, it will produce a class of people who appear to know many things, but actually know nothing. In terms of knowing being like the actual content, because you read it, you don't know it. For knowing, his level was actually being able to memorize the facts. Of course, knowing can be more subtle than that too. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Many of the Vedic texts, Upanishads and stuff, what's written is just the outline. And the actual schools that would use those sutras had much more elaborate tradition, which was passed down orally. But the basic ideas were there. The Diamond Sutra, how many commentaries are there? And you memorize those commentaries. One anthropologist, maybe, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, something, he was in Ceylon, and every 11 years, all the different Buddhist sects and divisions, they all come together and they chant the Diamond Sutra. I don't know how long it takes, sometime like that together, maybe 10,000 monks sitting there chanting the Diamond Sutra. And they're so used to chanting it with rhythm and everything else that you can chant it so you can hear, 10,000 people chanting together like that and so on. There's something, because we criticize oral traditions because they change and stuff like that. And he said he suddenly realized the chance of 10,000 monks making the same mistake at the same time was, so impossible that it was just wouldn't happen. And so that's what we see. The Vedic traditions we learn them more for understanding, comprehension. That's the Puranas. You want to understand it. You want to get the idea, communicated like that. But the other ones, which are for creating fire sacrifices and turning gold, lead into gold, other things like that, those are memorized exactly. Every syllable, every accent is memorized. So the boys that start to learn this at 5 years old, they memorize them forward, they memorize them backwards, and they memorize every other syllable. They chant together like that. And it's been declared a global, what's it called, World Heritage by UNESCO, and therefore it's eligible for special support and things like that. And so that's the kind of those kind of texts. Yeah, they're exact, and they contain the exact information that they contained apparently for how far back, thousands of years. Yeah. No, even now there are people in India still, different cultures like that. Some families, but still, it is unbelievable. Yeah. And even, of course, what do you call it? Idiot savants. Idiot savant. There's a guy, Ken. There's a guy, very famous. He was the guy, the bassist for the Rain Man. That his name. He memorizes his entire phone books the night before he goes to a program. But he has the intelligence of maybe like about a 5-year-old child. Can't take care of himself. You name any year, he'll tell you the whole history. You name your birthday, he'll tell you what day of the year it is. He comes here, he's going to put a program on MTSU. The next day, everybody in the audience says, "What's your name?" Okay, your phone number is, the street is so. Yeah, but he has the intelligence of about a 5-year-old kid. Yeah. So there's still people that can do that and stuff in common culture. But the thing is to understand you're saying understand it and ultimately how it connects to Krishna. How can we use atomic weapons for Krishna? I have a whole idea here. How can we use all the missiles? On Christmas, we shoot them off into outer space and spell Merry Christmas. And Russians can do it in Russian. Peace on earth, goodwill towards men. That's you finish off all. Good idea, no? And we should suggest to the United Nations. See, that'd be interesting to see how if everybody finally said, yeah, okay, let's just do it, and we'll have we're monitoring any more new nuclear weapons and stuff, and we'll make sure, like that. Yeah, everything can be used, for God's service. I'm trying to think whether to go ahead here or not. Okay, let's do the preface. Okay. You see the screen here? Okay, look at that. Okay, writer's guide. The preface of a book. We got a preface in this book. What is it? What's in a preface? What do you find in the preface? Huh? Yeah, purpose of the book. The introduction introduces the material. In this book, the preface. Okay, the purpose of the book, and the qualifications of the author. Okay, the qualifications expected from the reader. Under what circumstance the book was written. Yeah, my name is Bob Smith. I come from Middle City in Kansas. And in 1951, we discovered there were no good books on calculus for high school students. So in 1952, along with my fellow students and fellow teachers, we wrote this book. It's expected the student will already have finished analytical geometry. There's your preface. So the preface of this book. Do you find these things in Srila Prabhupada's preface? What are they? Okay, purpose, author, reader, circumstance. Okay. The preface of the Nectar of Instruction is actually both a preface and introduction. No, yeah, because it's so short. It's just a page and a half, so you don't do two separate things. What does it introduce? Okay. It introduces the first text. It says, in all spiritual circumstances, the first thing is to control the mind and senses. Without controlling these, you can't make any more progress. So all religions, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, they all talk about getting married, controlling this, sharing wealth. You've got to do that. So the preface is maybe to the first few paragraphs. You want to open your book to the preface here. Okay, we'll do it. Okay, thank you. On the second page, and the second paragraph, it says, in all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control the mind and senses, like that. Yeah. So before that, though, it's talking about these things, what's the purpose of the book, and who's involved. Okay. And so in the preface, it lists many people and everything else. I say here, how many people or groups of people are mentioned in the preface? Can you list them in a hierarchy? Well, they're not in a hierarchy the way Prabhupada puts them, but yes. It starts with Krishna, who's supposed to be the God and everything else. Then it goes to Radha, his most powerful Shakti. Then it comes down to Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago, who's absorbed in the mood of Radharani. Okay. What's happening here? Yeah, okay. Then it goes down from them to the 6 Goswamis, headed by Rupa Goswami. Then it comes down to Narottam Das Thakur, who follows them. And the song we're singing tonight, for the article was written by Narottam. Yeah. So you can see there's a whole tradition passing down. It's much better than the Gospels, and the Gospels and stuff, and the Buddha, because you see it's very clear coming down. And then it comes down to Bengali Vaishnavas and to us. Okay, so this is what it's introducing. This is how it's coming to you. These are the people involved like that. So the preface is a very nice perspective. When I'm giving these classes, the comparative religions classes, many times I show them where Bengal is, a few things like that. And that's, and then comes the first text, and then it becomes too real. You want us to stop smoking? You want us to become celibate? And we're talking too much about religion here. Yeah. But the preface is very nice many times to introduce who we are, what we're doing, who is Lord Chaitanya, like that. Okay. Okay, here's a gorilla. Okay. Okay. And there it is. Sri Krishna, Radharani, Gopis, lady friends, Lord Chaitanya, Rupa Goswami, 6 Goswami, Narottam Das, Gaudiya Vaishnava Das. So it's there. This is what you have in your hands now. Okay. Okay. This is Srila Prabhupada's qualification. This is our qualification. Parampara, guru-disciple relationship. And what you got is something, right? It's coming to you. Yeah. These sources. And you can find Narottam's songs. You can find all these people. We have them there. And if you enter into this properly, you'll have a personal connection with them. Prabhupada said, this is not just ink on paper. You're actually giving a living resource. It's empowered, and you actually will meet Narottam Das Thakur, the 6 Goswamis. So, yeah, you can, yep. Tangible experience like that of them. We're starting to deal with higher realities here. Okay. Summary. Okay. But before we look at each text, okay, let's first summarize the whole treatise. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's guru of our guru, was a great, powerful magistrate under the British, and a fantastic author, saint, has an excellent song that does this. What is that? Okay, it gives a summary. It's called Vaishnava Thakur. Oh, hey, Vaishnava Thakur, Doyar Sagar, Ekdase Koruna Kori, Bengali. Okay. It is one of several songs of the Nectar of Instruction. So you can see this book is being glorified, being looked at, 100 years ago by these people and writing songs about it. Okay, here's again our teacher. Sing it, discuss it. It was a very nice song. We should have copies of it here. Very nice song. Yeah. Okay, text 1. Okay. Text 1 defines devotional service. And here we have it. Engaging the senses in the service of the master of the senses. That's what he's saying. Engage your tongue, belly, and genitals in the master is Krishna. Engage your speaking power. And that's what it means. Okay. Text 2 and 3 give things that will help us or hinder this. Right? You want to engage your senses, but 6 things will make it very difficult, he says, and 6 things will make it very easy. Okay. Text 4, 5, and 6 discuss association with Vaishnavas, and also association in general. So there's 2 things in this book. There's a process, and there's how to associate with people. Sangat sanjayate kama. Your desires and ambitions develop from the company you keep. If you want to stop smoking, what's the best way to do it? Don't associate with people who smoke. If you want to start smoking, if you associate with people who smoke, you'll start smoking. You'll become frustrated, you'll become angry, and after a few times you'll say, give me one of those goddamn things. Yeah, you see it, you become, yeah. What is Arjuna's problem? What is the problem facing Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad-Gita? He doesn't want to give up the association of his family members. That's it. Everything else, his uncle, his guru, his godfather, his cousins, Krishna, they're rascals, they're miserable people, everything else. For Krishna, they're my cousins. Yeah. The Maltese Falcon. Anybody here read the Maltese Falcon? You heard about it? Okay. American. Yeah. It's just a detective story. It's very famous. Movie, everything else. Dashiell Hammett. He says, somebody, he's a detective. Somebody killed my partner. Okay. And you got to do something about it. He said, it may not have been a very nice guy. You may not have liked him, but it was your partner. And you got to do something about it. So this is, it's this association. And in discussing it very scientifically, what it means, how it works, and how to associate. When this came out, my goodness, it gave us so much relief in terms of the temple and how to relate to other monks and other people like, oh, okay. That's respected. Yeah. Okay. Before, what is association? Associating with 3 levels of devotees, which is true for Christianity. Associating with the top level person. Okay. There are 2 principal topics in Nectar instruction, association and process. Of the 2, association is primary. Because if you hang out with certain people, you'll get up in the morning like them, you'll eat the same food as they do. Yeah. But the process is important to understand also. 7 and 8 discuss the process. Okay. For every technique in the Ashtanga Yoga system, there's a corresponding technique in Bhakti Yoga system. How many people can do this? Okay. This is yoga. What is the most difficult yoga asana? Dandavat. Going down like a rod in front of a superior. The most difficult yoga asana. Prabhupada said, very rare to find a yogi who can do this. They're so proud of their flexibility, their intense peace, and their diet. Okay, no. Okay. When a man and a woman were new age, people eating the vegetarian food, all this kind of stuff. So the husband died, and after about 2 years, the wife had a dream, and her husband was there, and she said, "Oh, where are you? What's happening in the dream?" He said, "Oh, I'm happy, and everybody here is very gentle and love and warm and loving. And we get vegetarian, organic vegetables every day. And we make love to anybody we want to, anytime we want to, like that." And she says, "Oh, is that what heaven is like?" And he said, "I'm not in heaven. I'm a rabbit in Wisconsin." So this is the New Age people laugh more than anybody. Okay. Yeah. So there's more to it than that. So anyway, in the Ashtanga Yoga, you do there's the do's and the don'ts. We have our do's and don'ts. Asta means 8 limbs. Then you have asana, sitting postures, and then pranayama, controlling the prana. So we accomplish this by dancing, singing and dancing. And now we're doing it for Krishna with an open throat. And yes, it's very natural. You start singing and hearing the song and expressing, and then finally it becomes an entire drama, where you're acting out the meaning and stuff. And then it becomes an intense meditation. Every day we sing Mangal Arti. We get up to sing 8 prayers every day. But how many people know the word by word meaning? Okay, after 20 years, you learn the word by word meaning, and then you can start to express what it's doing with your body, and it becomes the most powerful meditation. Meditating with the mouth and the fingers, but also spatial orientation, tonal discrimination, temporal discrimination. These are your cerebral cortex. It's totally activated. So singing and dancing is the most natural form of meditation. When you're expressing something like that, everything is involved like that stuff. And this is why people love to go to a concert, heavy metal concert, and they forget everything else. They can focus on what they want to focus on, which may not be so good, but at least they, beer won't let you down. Girls are fickle. That's the fraternity. The fraternity, this is one of our things, that girls are fickle, but beer won't let you down. Okay. Yeah, right? Okay. So anyway, we have a process, and it accomplishes everything that accomplishes the Ashtanga Yoga. Section 7 to discuss the process, like you chant japa, sankirtan, worship the deity, read the Krishna book. This is good for both liberation and spiritual elevation. So we got to 7 and 8. Okay. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Okay. So text 9 discusses this geography of the spiritual world. You know, because there are different levels of consciousness, different possibilities. Okay. So right away, we're out of the material world, but in the spiritual world also are different accomplishments, you know, higher and higher, more subtle things. Okay. Text 10 returns to association for the most abominable to the most desirable. Radha Kund and Radha Krishna. It starts off with, they're karmis, right? People engaged in karma to get things. But they follow the rules and regulations of their religion. To be karmi is somebody who does any old damn thing to get what he wants, like that. And we know people, most people are like that. But some people, they're nice. You know, if you find somebody who's following the Prophet Muhammad, nice person, respect him, you know. And you find somebody who's following Christianity. But usually people don't follow, they use that as an excuse and then to get what they want. And the Prophet Muhammad would not be pleased with that. Yeah. Okay. And above that are wise men like Socrates, Confucius. And above that, people actually realizing that, yeah, behind everything is a person. You know, who's a guy? Benjamin Few, big atheist. What's his name now? He was a really big atheist. He had debates with like Christians and the University of Texas with thousands of people there. On and on. He was one of their most powerful, you know, proponents of atheism. So there is no joy in Budville. Mighty Casey has struck out because when he became a theist, and oh God, it was like the whole world of atheism was like, you know, yeah. He said, I'm not saying there is a God. I'm not saying there isn't a God. But when I started this whole process in Oxford, we all agreed to follow Socrates' idea that we'll have a logical discussion of these things, but wherever the argument takes us, logically, we'll accept that. You know? And so he said, after years of looking at everything else, I have come to the conclusion that there has to be some personal, you know, force behind what's happening to us. And what happens to people like that is conscious of you as a person, and it has a personal nature to it. You know, yeah, whether it's God or anything else, no, but there is, the world is not impersonal, and that is the one. Yeah. So that's, you know, going from the most abominable to the most elevated. Become devotees, and then, you know, kingdom of God, okay, and then finally Vrindavan, which is so sweet and simple. Summary of our summary. Engage the senses in Krishna's service. Text number 2. 1, 2, and 3, things that hinder, things that help. 4, 5, 6, association, the magic. 7 and 8, the process, also magic. 9, where to practice the process. 10, summary of all association. 11, culminating in Radha Kund, associating with Radha and Krishna. Okay? Let's look at 1. Okay, tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow. Next number 1. Okay. Oh, here it is. Here's the homunculus. Notice they put some pants on him here, like that. On the internet, you do without pants if you want. But you see where the nerves are? Where are they? In the hand. There's so much representation in the hands. How about the ears? Yeah? The acupuncture in the earlobes, the nose. Yeah? But the arm is almost nothing. Yeah. So, any final questions, comments, complaints? Yes, sir. I'm asking man in the audience is asking a question. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Talk loud. Talk through your diaphragm. Right here. Yeah. There you go. Here's a. Okay. Yeah.
It is very difficult for a Grihastha person to follow the text 1 compared to the person who was sannyasi or going to a secular place. The reason being that was for a Grihastha person is surrounded by all material objects, and to control that from take out it's very difficult compared to a person who is secluded in a place and they can control that comparatively.
Okay, so this is your thesis. Yeah, so how do we?
And the second question is.
Okay, first question: how do we do this? That's a good question for tomorrow night. Because our recommendation is 25 years. You've got 100 years. The first 25 years you should be a student. which means acquiring, technical abilities, but also learning, developing your character. Okay. At that point, a boy can enter in directly to become a monk, directly sannyasi for the rest of his life, or else no, then get married. Okay. And there's a whole process then. Like for example, Saint Francis, he started off with his ashram for monks. Okay. And then his former girlfriend, associate, Claire, she wanted to also follow him. So he started the Poor Clares, which is the second order, which is for nuns. It still exists. And then he started the third order, which was for married people, like that. So Franciscans have all three orders, and they're all respectable estates, like that, so on. So there are rules and regulations. If you want to be a Franciscan grihasta, married person, there's certain things you do, a certain standard you keep. So it's all over the world. And I think also in Islam, of course, Islam is recommended you never take sannyas. You always get married and stay in that ashram, Vanaprastha. So yes, it's different, If you don't get married, then many times that's exactly what St. Francis was discovering when he started the third ashram, is that people couldn't follow it, and what was going to happen is you're going to start polluting young virgin girls and engaging in adultery and all these kind of things were going to happen unless there was some situation. But they're saying, if you're properly married and following the whole process and understand how to do it, it becomes quite possible, because then husband and wife, they protect each other. Okay, if you're a handsome guy with curly black hair, you go to some party, lots of girls there, and you look, oh, that's got nice. He's single, he's single. Okay, But if you're there with your wife, right, she can pick up right away which girls are after you. You're so stupid you never figure it out, right? Girls can tell other guys are. It's the same as opposite too. Is that so you're protected. You start talking to some girl at a party and joking a little bit. And suddenly you realize, you look over, your wife's looking at you. Oh my God! When I get home, I liked her, didn't you? You were joking a lot with her, weren't you? So that's it's a very, very grihasta ashram is naturally where husband and wife protect each other from these things. And is it possible to follow this standard that's being described by Rupa Goswami and what it means, relations and so on? Yeah. But it's again, it's just a matter of becoming more purified and stuff, and you realize these things, I mean, again, it's just one big fat guy is sitting there with this, burnt piece of meat on his table, and another guy is sitting there with all his fruits and vegetables, and the guy in front of the meat saying, "Well, if you don't eat meat, what can you eat?" And so you learn so many other kinds of satisfaction, the grihasta ashram and stuff. That's kind of a general summary. Okay. The second question, I will out here. Okay.
This question is very practical question.
Oh.
So, when, as you said that compared to Ashtanga yoga and Bhakti yoga, Ashtanga yoga they're trying to control their mind by meditation, and in Bhakti yoga we used to chant and serve God, and we can comfortable that way we can control our family.
Yeah.
So my question is, when we in front of God and we praying, and so how we control mind? We should look at the God that moment, or we should look at the prayer, you are thinking of prayer, what meaning, find out the meaning at the same time.
Okay.
So the mind cannot be both like, or you think something else. So what we should do that at that moment that we control.
Okay. So the first element in meditation is sound. Sound is the subtlest of the five gross elements. Even physiologically, there's evidence for this. So the first thing is chanting, singing, prayers, and then hearing them. And of course, if you're hearing them, you can begin to understand them and so on. Okay, so if I'm saying, what's his name, Joe Biden, it's amazing. As you get older and older, you begin to forget who's president. You say, oh, who is it now? They change, so they come and they go so fast. Okay. So I can be chatting. I can be chatting. Donald Trump, 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 Donald Trump. You're not thinking of a short black lady with red hair. No, because the form is already there. Nama, this is what he'll explain in text number 7 and 8. First is the name, or the sound, Nama, Rupa. Then the form will automatically start to follow. And then automatically you'll want to chanting these prayers for Krishna. Where's the picture of Krishna? It follows automatically. So the first thing is the sound, and then naturally, you'll start having deities or seeing pictures and stuff like that, and want to chat with them. Nama, Rupa, Chari, Adi. He explains how it goes. First in that name, the sound, then the form, and then the qualities. You see, oh, Krishna's smiling. You've done something really stupid. You come in front of the deities and you're looking at them and they're looking at you. Okay, I'm sorry. This is advanced. Where you can take chastisement from Krishna. Or Krishna is telling you, oh, no, come on. There's some problem you did and, don't do it again. So you start to see the name, form, character, and then the associates, and then there's pastimes. So we're going on like that, and the whole spiritual world actually becomes manifest. And then we're no longer in the material world. And in San Francis, everybody he sees, he's seeing in terms of their position in spiritual life and their spiritual development. Not seeing in terms of to go business or anything like that. Okay? That's it. Saying sound is first. Final question here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Talking to the ice cream cone.
So Maharaj, in the first verse,
Yeah.
it says, which means the Shishya. So it refers to the control all of this, sun, the angels and all of this, and you'll be qualified to make disciples.
All over the world.
Why is that concept? Typically, in normal books, right, it says that if you control all of this, you get peace, you get wisdom. But why the context of making disciples?
Maybe again this whole principle, but the ultimate nature of life is generosity, charity. The Bible says the same thing. And becoming sasya means you'll be able to give shelter to people and teach them all, not dominate them, but give them shelter. Basically, if you can conquer these 6 virtues, you'll be able to be the shelter and refuge for anybody in the whole world, like that. So, and it's also again, it says Bible saying, if you've met a person who's controlled his tongue, you've met a perfected person. And the Bible also says, Isaiah, I will keep in perfect peace him whose mind is stayed in me. Anybody whose mind is fixed upon me, I'll keep him in perfect peace, like that. So the same thing is there. Same thing. But that's the idea, is that if you can, when you understand how to control these, then you could be, what's the word, just shelter for the whole world. It's good. And maybe you will be. Yes. Okay, so I want to thank everybody. And now I think there's a little bit of, what's the advertisement say? A light snack. A light snack. So thank you very much. And hopefully we'll be here at the same time, same place, tomorrow. And then we can start to go through the text and look at it a little bit. Huh? Oh my God, okay. Yeah. Okay, so the light snack is actually a heavy meal. But you can make a light snack. Now we're going to see how people are controlling their tongues and their bellies and their minds. Yeah. Eat for Krishna. It's really good. Usually 9 times out of 10, you got to beat on the things, replace the things. Okay. Wow, it works tonight. Okay. Okay. Hola, nuestro público. ¿Quién está aquí? 12 personas. Yeah. Chandramukhi Devidasi, how was the presentation?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I was looking on Facebook because I don't have enough. My internet is not good here, but the presentation was wonderful. I really like it very much.
How was the audio? Was the volume loud enough?
Yes, was good. It was really good.
Okay. Because I'm using the audio. See, we're using a hotspot for the visual, and the audio for the my telephone for the audio, and I kept forgetting to keep it close to my mouth. So I was wondering, wow, everybody's here.
It was good.
Right now it's it must be something like about, my God, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Jadana Shringa, go to bed. It's too much. Yeah. And Yashoda Devi Dasi. Okay. Abhinandan, Ishwari, Chandramukhi, Carlos Oro, Chitragothi, Jadana Shringa, Karuna Shakti, Lakshmi Radha, Mitravinda, Sham Krishna Gopal Yashoda. Of course, we've made these presentations many times, but each time we're learning, and of course we're trying to inspire the devotees here to take up the process like that. Okay, so thank you all very much. Chant Hare Krishna and honor Prasadam, and go back home, back to Godhead.